Hi there.
Hello.
Moving on. I wanted to ask you. These are not interviews. We're just talking to each other, and this allows you to just say what you want to say about whatever you want to talk about. So just remember, these are not interviews, folks. Even though some people
I never know what she's
have a
going to ask
problem
me.
with my interviewing skills, I don't have any. Okay.
No.
I do not have interviewing skills. That's not what this is about.
No, this is like a conversation between Coco
And
and
people
me.
are asking questions, so I will, ask you. Of course, a lot of times we'll get the same question asked by a lot of different people. One question was, and a few people have asked this, is how was the transition from being in the studio and recording Layla and then going out on the road? How did that translate out on the road? Or you were actually recording before? Playing.
Well, you know what? Funnily enough, we didn't play all the songs that we had recorded on the road. Just our set list consisted pretty much of what you hear on the live recording. We didn't play Layla. We played Layla maybe 2 times, and that was when Dwayne came to play with us. But we didn't really play it. Maybe one time when it was just Eric.
Did you play the coda?
No.
That was always left off.
No, that was left off until on the 45. It was left off on the 45, the single, and they put it on the album. And what's his name? Ron Hausman in Nashville started playing it, the album cut of it, and that really helped for the Layla thing to take off.
Well, it was dormant for quite some time. Do you remember?
Yeah, about 7 years or something. Nobody was interested. Because Eric was out of commission for 3 years, and then he got that Tulsa bunch together, and that rolled and tumbled down the road for quite some time. And Layla didn't really surface until after things kind of calmed down in his world. Cat
well, sorry, cat just landed with claws out on my lap. Oh, how did it make you feel that they weren't pushing the record? Or
nothing I could do about it, so I didn't really have any feelings about it. Eric was all down and out about the whole thing, like it was also premature. Everything about that was premature. That's why it never worked. As far as the band, getting back together again.
Well, what do you mean it was premature? What do you mean?
Everything. We went out on the road. Nobody knew who we were. We preceded our album when it came out. All Things Must Pass was number 1. All over the world it was number 1, and we were the band on it, and nobody knew who the hell we were.
Well, wasn't that planned?
That was planned, but it kind of backfired in a couple of times. Backfired pretty good, People yelling out in the audience, "Get on with it!" All that kind of stuff.
Okay. So you're saying that you were out playing before the record came out, which is
yeah.
That's not the way you do things, right?
It was everything was wrong. Everything that could go wrong did. Except our playing, and we were always right on.
So when you were out on the road, if you were out on the road prior to the record coming out, then no Dwayne would have been involved at all in that situation.
No, hell no. He played with us twice. Once was right after
before the record
down in
came
Florida.
Out?
Yeah, before the record, and
well, that's really crazy.
Yeah, the record didn't even come out, until after we were.
So nobody would have known.
We came back home before the record came out.
Nobody would have known anything about the great Dwayne playing on the blah blah blah.
And I think it was Port Chester, and then down in Tampa, and Port Chester. But no one knew about any of that. A great deal of people didn't know who the hell we were, Derek and the Dominoes.
So that's an important thing to note, that you were out on the road before a record even came out.
Yeah.
How in the world would that whole Dwayne thing would have worked out? It wouldn't.
It was word of mouth. Everything was word of mouth for pretty much for the Dominoes. Even when we started in England, you know, tickets were £1 each, and it was all word of mouth. Derek and the Dominoes, and a lot of people just didn't know who the hell we were. You know, even which one of you guys is Derek? You know, we'd all change to be Derek for a little while.
Who was
Derek?
Derek?
Have fun with it, you know. But it got, I think it got Eric a bit distressed at one point, you know, because no one knew us, nor did they really care, you know, because he wasn't playing cream stuff. He wasn't playing all that psychedelic music anymore, you know. He was playing real rock and roll and rhythm and blues.
Which is exactly what he wanted to do.
And that's what he wanted to do. So, I mean, he was making his own conscious transition, you know, becoming who he is today. You know.
Well, let me ask you, what were the other guys feeling about it? What was Carl and Jim Gordon feeling about this?
Those guys were already planning on doing something else. So their feelings weren't as intimate as mine and Eric's, because we put the band together and wrote all the songs. So there was a whole lot of Eric and myself involved in the creation of that record that goes beyond just playing in the studio. You know, we got the songs together that we did play in the studio.
So while you're playing in the studio, Carl and Jim are already planning to leave.
Yeah, they had already planned.
So it wasn't Eric's demise. It wasn't the demise because Eric wanted to quit.
No. The whole thing fell apart by the time we got back to London and went straight in to try to record the second album. It all fell apart.
Right.
You know, but see, Carl and Jim were already. Carl was going back to Leon, and Jim had already planned, and he did do that High Heel Spark of Low Heel Boys or something like that. And with Spencer, with Traffic.
Right.
Yeah, and he did
Stevie
do that.
Winwood.
So, I mean, he was already planned. They had already planned on the thing. Well, Eric decided he's going to take a 3-year hiatus and never leave the house. And I was just left bouncing off the damn walls myself, you know. And finally, I got tired of it, and I came back to America and spent my own money and just played any and everywhere I could.
Well, wasn't it true that Robert Stigwood said that you would never last 6 months?
Yeah, he wasn't paying anybody. He didn't pay out anybody because he said we're all going to be dead in 6 months. And that was 50-something years ago. And he ain't around. I doubt if he's pushing up any daisies, maybe some ragweed.